Hello, and on the gaming table today, something a little bit different. I'm testing Project Ork. So what is Project Ork? Project Ork is a little skirmish set of rules I've been working on, and I wanted to just throw some figures on the table and test the rules out for myself a little bit, and thought I might as well make a little video while I'm doing that. So here you can see a few figures and a bit of terrain on the table as I walk through the rules. Now, what's up with these rules? Why did I make them? I wanted to make something which was designed for brand new wargamers, someone who's never played wargames before. Maybe they've never even done role-playing before, anything like that. They really have no idea what wargaming is all about. And so I wanted to make something which had very, very simple rules, nothing very complicated. And in fact, in this game, there is only really one mechanic. And so you'll see me rolling different dice at different times. Everything that's going on there is happening within one mechanic. So you can see as the figures are moving here, there's 3 orcs which are kind of attacking from the left and 2 orcs which are defending this kind of camp here on the right. And so as things move up and as rolls are happening, there are a kind of modifier that goes on in here, but it's all based on what makes sense, right? And there's not really any numbers to remember. It's just if things are good, something happens. If things are bad, something else happens. And that's all wrapped up in the single mechanic. You've probably noticed already from the way the figures are moving, this is alternate activation. It's not exactly alternate, like it's not exactly I go, you go, one orc at a time. There's other things that could happen in here, but generally speaking, it's alternating activation. You'll have just seen there one orc go down. He's now prone on the ground, and he's basically been knocked down or injured. However, he's not dead, and he might be able to get back up and join in the fight again soon. So things go on here where the figures can have effects, but then sometimes you can recover from that. And that kind of keeps people in the game, especially if they're new. You're not losing things completely. There is a way for orcs to be taken completely out of this, but it's a little bit harder. I have tried to stick to a kind of an orky theme as I've been putting these rules together, and this reflects some of the things that you might see in other games that involve orcs. It has that same kind of feel to it in terms of what's happening on the table and how the orcs kind of do things as orcs, as a species. The other reason I chose orcs as kind of the species for this game is because they're not humans, and so some people might feel sensitive about human-on-human fighting or humans involved in fighting, given the state of the world and how they feel about it. So this is kind of more of a caricature. You know, orcs are kind of a fun species. In terms of that, there's a lot of humor associated with them and some of the lore and things that go with them. And so I just feel that's kind of appropriate to get people involved in a war game where it's not humans fighting against humans. So this little test here is just wrapping up, and I've got another one after this, and I'll narrate a little bit more through the next battle. But here the defenders look like they've lost. There is actually a mechanic for determining the end of a battle, essentially a morale kind of roll, and so here the defenders actually failed that and the game ended. So here's the beginning of the second battle. You can see it's basically the same setup and the opening moves play out basically the same. Something a little different here where the defending orcs got 2 activations this phase, and so they both moved up here and tried to get some shooting in. Unfortunately, both of their shots missed the orc that had charged forward there, so now the defending force has used up both of their orcs, both of their activations, and now the attacking orcs have got 2 left. And so you can see the second orc has charged way forward there again, and the orc at the back is moving up as well. So the 2 orcs closest to the bottom of the screen here on the attacking side basically have melee weapons and handguns, whereas the one at the top has basically got a rifle, and you can see the ones in the defending force is basically, again, 1 rifle and 1 handgun and melee weapon. You see the red dice that's appeared there. We'll talk about that another day, but it's to do with kind of an initiative token. So here one of the defenders has decided to charge up against the rifleman who's hiding behind the barrels at the top there. This is a situation where the modifiers that go on, which we'll talk about another day, come into play, and they kind of make sense because if you're going in and you've got a melee weapon and the other guy only has a rifle, then you're at some kind of advantage. Similarly, with the attacking orc charging in here now, it's a 2-on-1 fight, so that gives advantage to them. And so in this case, he gets a hit in and that takes that orc down. And then a good shot here at the bottom of the screen takes one of the attackers down. And that orc hadn't taken its action yet, so when it was activated next, it tried to recover and stand up, however, it failed to do so. In the next turn here, the orcs at the top tried to stick the boot in and take out completely the one that was downed, however, they failed to do so. There was a shot from the bottom of the screen here to try and shoot away one of those 2 orcs over the downed orc, but that failed. And then you can see the initiative token, the red dice passes hands here, goes to the other player. That's because the defenders have basically tried to activate again out of turn, and that's essentially what that marker does. Using that, they tried to recover the downed orc at the top, but that failed, and then the other orc up there, the attacking orc, stuck the boot in and managed to eliminate that orc, so he's out of the game now. Now, obviously, with it now being 3-on-1, the defenders are almost certainly going to lose this, but the attackers still have to get the job done, and so we're just kind of working through the rest of the turns here and just kind of see how it goes. Again, just chances to roll the dice and look at the situations and see how it works out. The downed attacker managed to get back up, and then following that, to kind of keep things going tactically, the defending orc withdrew and tried to fall back and shoot here. However, he didn't manage to get a hit. This is an example of where the basic kind of common sense things come into play, like falling back and taking cover, being able to shoot from behind cover, block simple charges, things like that. These are all the bits and pieces of the tactics that come into the game. Again, all pretty much summarized up in one mechanic. And so even though the system is pretty simple, the mechanic is fairly simple, it does give you benefit for following common sense, like seeking cover, finding clear lines of fire, all of these sorts of things. And so in that way, I think it would help a new player who's trying to learn wargames get into this sort of thing, right? They can use what makes sense and they're rewarded for doing so. And so here over the next few seconds here, you can see what happens is the 3 attacking orcs eventually gang up on the single defender here. The single defender, by averages should have gone down reasonably quickly here, but just got lucky. And that's part of wargames too. You can have a bit of luck that keeps you in the game. You can have a bit of luck that takes you out of the game. And so that can be built in here as well. And so the luck that this defending orc was having, he was making his morale check, so he wasn't fleeing the field, basically, as well as he got hit a couple of times, but he made his defense roll, so he didn't go down. So he managed to kind of stay in the fight, even though he got ganged up on 3-1 here. The attackers had lots of advantages. The defender got lucky, and so he held out for a while, but eventually he'd go down. And so as far as tests go, this test went fairly well, and I learned a couple of things out of here, but I'm pretty happy with how things were going, as planned, as intended, and overall it played quickly, and things were simple, and things were pretty fun. So I'll put more videos out about this as I paint up a few more orcs and some more terrain and do some bigger battles. But for now, I hope you found that a little bit interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.